Welcome back to Doctor Who Fanfiction, starring Mabini and Frank in a very hot situation.
Well, actually, it was quite cold. In fact, very cold water.
I want to do my iconic rant on fanfiction. I don't know if I've said it before.
Go off,
it's not
kid.
a rant at all. It's more just a statement. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts if you have any. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
I thought there was a
I'm
fucking
a gamer. No, I'm a writer. I'm a writer and an artist. I'm making a comic. It's called Brimstone Beach. Plug. Anyway, the point is, when I was a kid, and Mabini was similar, I used to make video games. You know, we used to like make up video games and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But we would make, sometimes we'd make up our own things. Like you made like Undermon.
Yep.
And I made like Outlanders.
Yep.
But like we'd also do things like make sequels to games and things like that, like Left 4 Dead and Metroid and Mario and stuff like that. I did, at least. I made like shit tons of Zelda games. Pokemon, yeah. Oh yeah, we made our own Pokemon games.
Yeah.
I made 3 sequels to Majora's Mask because I love that game so much.
Yeah. I've got a piece of paper somewhere where we've got our freaking alternate timelines. There was like 3 of us making our own like video game ideas, like Zelda ideas.
And I used to have a lot of fun doing that stuff. But I hit a point sometime in early high school where I was sort of like, you know, I'm very passionate about these stories and things that I'm creating. But a lot of it's, you know, copyrighted material. I can't make this stuff, you know. It's all just like, this is Nintendo and Valve and things, right? So I decided at a point that like any project that I would work on from then on would be my own original story, my own original stuff, right? And so I shifted my brain that I would now exclusively make original content, right? And as a result, now what I do when I get inspired by something and things like that, I think about, when I'm thinking about stories and things, I think about how can I apply that to my own story? You know, how can I take this inspiration and make it something new as opposed to, you know, something that already exists? And my brain now just works like that. That's just how it works. I don't think about like, oh, this would be a cool Mario story. I think, no, I can make this into something original, right? Yeah. And for a lot of people, you know, that's really good, and it is really good, in a sense. But the thing is, I found out years after that creating things like that, creating content for already existing IP, obviously has a name, and that name is fan fiction, fan content, fan art, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The thing about that fan fiction and fan art and all that kind of stuff is that like that is how you get known, you know, or at least it's a good foothold to get known.
Right.
You know?
It's
if you start out by it's a stepping stone, because like no one's going to look up Brimstone Beach. No one knows what the hell that is, but they will look up Mario, you know? And so as a creator online in the modern age, it's actually really beneficial to write fan fiction, to draw fan art, to do these kind of things, to at the very least get your name out there, to sort of support and advertise your original products. But I did this stupid thing as a kid or as a teenager where I was like, no, I got to rewire my brain so I can't, you know, make these things. So as a result, I really struggle to draw fan art and write fan fiction even more so because I've never written fan fiction before. And I'm actually at a point where I'm kind of regretful of it. I'm like, man, I wish I could write fan fiction. I wish I could like look at a story like Doctor Who or whatever and be like, man, and just like write a piece of fan fiction for Doctor Who. Just write a good ass story and get my name out there so people will then find my stuff through Doctor Who or Sonic or whatever. Then they'd find my original stuff, you know? And I don't know, it's just sort of my... Right. I just wanted to go off on that little rant there because like I find it something that I struggle with. And I see people online, like people who... Like there's an artist that I followed once who was obsessed with a single character from like a single video game, and they would just draw that one character all the time in like 1,000 different art styles, and they were one of the most talented artists I've ever seen, and they'd make like a new piece of art every single day. And I just thought to myself, like, I kind of wish that I had that level of you know, inspiration for things that like aren't mine, I guess. You know, it's weird to say because I know a lot of fan fiction and fan artists feel the opposite, where they kind of wish that they could create more original stuff, but they just keep thinking of things for pre-existing properties. And yeah, I don't know. I just thought I'd give my unique perspective on the matter, where for me personally, yeah, I just like, I wish I had that capability more. So a part of me wants to like really force myself to write like a piece of Doctor Who fan fiction or Sonic or something like that. You know, it wouldn't be something romantic or whatever because I don't really write that kind of stuff, but just something to get my name out there more, like as a writer, you know, like because like I've written a lot, but very little of it has seen the light of day, you know, and I think that like, yeah, I don't know, it might be something worth investing. Anyway, what do you guys think? It's my little rant for you.
For me, I feel like I've sort of moved on from that because I also made like Harry Potter stories and Star Wars stories. I mean, it's probably different for me these days because I don't write stories as much as I used to. I did actually recently open up. What's the writing program that we use? Scrivener. Yeah, so I opened that up and I wrote some stuff down and wrote some more details down that I hadn't done. But it didn't have like new ideas, but got that little part of me thinking about it more. Yeah, I don't feel like I need to, but I sort of get where you're coming from, where it's like you want to, if you attach yourself to something that's, you just write one amazing Doctor Who fan fiction that heaps of people love, they might notice, oh, you actually write this other thing called Brimstone Beach, and it's also really great, and so people will get into that. So that's something you can always... that you can do. I get where you're coming from talking about that. I think
I just think that like in the modern day and age where everyone's online and things like that, I just think that it's a really useful tool to get yourself known, to get yourself out there, and potentially even be the stepping stone into those industries. You know, you were talking about how you don't want to put any of your Doctor Who stories out there because you want to write them for real Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Well, there are a few Doctor Who writers, or at least I know, maybe not Doctor Who, but I know some people in these industries where they get picked up through their fan fiction.
Yeah.
You know, like it's because they, like, you say if you put a Doctor Who fan fiction out there and it's really good, and then, like, you know, a BBC or something might see, like, oh, this guy really likes Doctor Who. He's very good at writing them. I'm not saying that you will be picked up, but, like, you know, it puts your name out there as opposed to just sitting there twiddling your thumbs and expecting them to know that you're,
in
there, you know?
In motorsport, I know of, like, 2 YouTubers. I think they both make, like, Formula 1 content. This one guy called Tommy, who, he does videos about Formula 1, and he got picked up by Red Bull to come and talk about Red Bull and talk about Formula 1 on their official stuff. And there's this other guy in Australia, I can't remember what his name is, I don't really like him, because he just comes across a bit too fake to me. But he got picked up by Speed Cafe, which is a news outlet for Australian motorsport. And so they used him for a little while, but I haven't seen him pop up in a while. Maybe I've been using the wrong YouTube channel or something, and so he's not popping up for me anymore. But yeah, you can literally get picked up by people and get paid to do what you're doing from the industry that you're in. You think you're an outsider until they're like, hey, do you want to become an insider? And yeah, like you're saying, like I think there's examples of where somebody has been doing fan fiction type thing where they're basically being an outsider that people like watching and know about, and then the insiders go, hey, we should maybe see if we can get one of these outsiders in and see if this is going to shake things up for us. And I think they do find that beneficial, because sometimes in industries, in media industries, they can be a bit incestuous, where they just keep on recycling things over and over again, and it's just like everybody just invites their mate to be in the production, until eventually, you know, the ratings start dropping, and then they go, all right, we need to chuck a lot of stuff in the bin and start over.
Fresh blood.
We need fresh blood.
Yeah, you don't think that you still don't think you'd ever want to do fan fiction?
No. Well, I guess what I do with supercars is I do have some ideas that I've been thinking that I did work on in the past, which is like just hypothetical situations of what if this thing never happened, sort of stories. Alternate history type things to go down, where I think it became a very big project, and I started coming up with more ideas than I did actually finish one of them. Just the idea of having a big project like that can get a bit much. So
I suppose so.
I'd rather...
You could always just try and keep it smaller scale, though.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, because like a lot of way that fan fiction writers work is that it's just like for a lot of people, for a lot of them, they just do it for the fuck of it, right? For the fun.
Yeah.
You know, they just write a chapter every now and then when they're feeling inspired. Some of them get really into it and write giant things, novellas, but some of them they're just like, I just want to get my ideas out there. And I think that was really cool.
And we go through like...
I'm a huge supporter of all fan art and fan fiction. Creative endeavors, I should say. But provided that it's safe, you know, and not harming anyone.
Yeah.
Of course, obviously.
Right, yeah.
But like, I'm of the belief that like fan art and fan fiction is some of the most like coolest and flattering gifts that you could ever give anyone personally.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool.
Being part of your Discord back in the day, I got a little bit of fan art. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
My freaking Discord
You're
profile
still using
picture.
it for your icon.
Yeah.
For your icon.
Yeah.
Because that shit stays with you. Because you're like, man, someone looked at my work and liked it enough to want to create a piece of art just for me, just because they liked me.
Yeah.
That's the coolest fucking thing in the world.
Yeah.
And so I would love to do more of that myself. You know.
Yeah.
Put more of it out there.
Competitions also a cool way to do it. I remember I made a fan comic, based on this story called The Looter. There wasn't like a whole lot to go on, based on that story because I think they hadn't released many stories about The Looter. And so I just went and had a go at it, and it's fun having a go at a different art style. You've done that recently with the Metagross Gigantamax. Having a go at different art styles and having a go at different styles in general in terms of writing or in terms of of drawing, that can be exciting an exciting path to go down. I did that with Cast the Psychopath when I drew.
Yes, and you
Zoe?
you drew Zoe,
Yeah.
and you got a pretty well perfect
And
in my style.
I think what was the thing? It was like I based it on was it a black and white, or I think there was like a color version, but it was an old design of the character, and then I went from I think a couple pages had come out of Cast the Psychopath, so I made like a full body picture of her, and that hadn't been done yet. That hadn't been released as a thing. In that
awesome.
way, that was cool.
See, I got that on my wall. You know, I print out any and all fan art that I've got on my wall because it's just so flattering and it's so cool.
Yeah, and I feel like
Ihasnotomato Mabini is pro fan fiction.
yeah,
You heard it here first, folks. Fan art and fan creations. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think it's really cool.
I mean, yeah,
It's really
for
cool to
sure.
support that kind of
I
stuff.
definitely fully support it as well.
Well, I mean, you know, you say for sure, but there are some weird creators out there who are like weirdly against it. Like, no, that's my IP. You're not allowed to touch that. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Go die.
right,
Yeah.
right.
There are some people that are weirdly, really gatekeepy about it.
Yeah, like
I just want to
Nintendo.
put on record that I am
Yeah.
not.
yeah,
I tell you a shitty thing though. As a writer, little piece of legal advice for you: if you ever publish your story, and people write fan fiction about it, don't read it. You might think, why not? Like, what's the problem with reading other people's fan fiction? Because, unfortunately, history has dictated that if you outwardly say that you read people's fan fiction of your work online, and you write the story in a way that is similar to the way someone else wrote fan fiction of, they can sue you for
That's
potentially
so-
stealing their
Oh,
ideas.
Yeah,
I know, and you think to yourself, well, they're fans. Who would do that? Unfortunately, it has
Yes,
happened in the
yeah.
past. I forget the name of the. I mean, it's happened a few times, but there was a particular author who used to like have like a section at the end of their book where they would highlight and put people on pedestals. But look at these awesome fan fictions, aren't these so cool? And then they ended up writing, the next part of the story, which one of the fan fiction writers just was able to somewhat accurately predict. And they literally turned around and were like, hey, that's like my story. You stole my idea. I'm going to sue you. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But it happens.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
outwardly, even though I love fan art and fan fiction, if anyone ever writes fan fiction of my stuff, I got to say out loud legally that I can't read it. I would love to, but I
Right.
can't. Because if you happen to predict what happens in the story, because I would never steal ideas from my fans. That'd be fucked
Right,
up,
yeah, it's
but,
all
like,
about coincidental stuff still just being a problem.
you can read it or watch it, whatever, but you can't acknowledge it publicly that you've done it because then they might accuse you of plagiarism.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I guess
yeah.
so. I mean, you could do whatever. I mean, like,
whatever you want in your own
that's
privacy.
What you just said is the equivalent of like you can commit a crime as long as no one was looking. But yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, there's just bad characters in every industry.
Yeah, bad actors.
Bad actors.
Which is, and it's funny because like you'd think that they would be like, oh no, like I love your stuff. That's why I wrote fanfiction. But yeah, there has unfortunately been cases where that's not been the case.
I think, yeah.
It's particularly weird because like I don't know. Like, the way I write in particular is, like, I have way more ideas than I can put out. So I can guarantee that, like, if anyone predicts the story, it's probably, like, I've already written it, like, years prior. Like, I've already planned it all out.
Yeah.
long before it ever saw print, though. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Thinking that, I wouldn't, like, the time frame just wouldn't add up for the way that I work. But they wouldn't know that, so...
Yeah. Next time on The Chalice.